Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surat Al Anbyā, which we completed, reminds us of the essence of Tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, and then of the essence of faith and belief in the hereafter, and in the day of resurrection, and in the day of having to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for judgment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us through brief moments in the lives of His prophets, alayhim as-salam, reminds us of what they have gone through and how they faced that with iman and with dhikr of Allah Azza wa Jal, and with dua and with prayers. And at the end, Allah Azza wa Jal reminds us again that we all have to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when Allah folds space and time back again and will resurrect the dead. In the beginning, Allah says, اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون ما يأتيهم من ذكر من ربهم محدث إلا استمعوه وهم يلعبون لاهية قلوبهم والعياذ بالله. اللهم اغفر لنا اللهم نجنا. اقترب للناس حسابهم, says Allah Azza wa Jal in this very powerful reminder. It shakes the heart and the mind when you hear it. اقترب للناس حسابهم. The reckoning of mankind has drawn nearer. The reckoning of mankind has drawn nearer. اقترب للناس حسابهم. While وهم في غفلة معرضون, while they continue to turn away in a state of heedlessness. This is happening, and yet they continue to live in a state of heedlessness, distracted away from this reality, not thinking about it, not preparing for it, not living our lives and their lives in a way that is consistent with our awareness of this haqiqah, of this reality. اقتراب الحساب. ما يأتيهم من ذكر من ربهم محدث. And every time a reminder from their Lord new comes to them, the Qur'an of Allah Azza wa Jal, the words of Rasulullah, the admonitions and the reminders of the saintly scholars, rahimahumullah ta'ala, that they receive while their hearts are in a state of jest, while their hearts in a state of distraction, of heedlessness, of neglect. لاهية قلوبهم. We listen, but we listen sometimes, even those of us who listen, maybe most of us listen with our ears, not with our hearts. We just look. We look at a person, but without really seeing. We listen to a person, but without really hearing. The channels of our hearts are blocked. We close them. We don't pay attention. And that's وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, a sign of a munafiq or a sign of a kafir. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ لَاهِيَةً قُلُوبُهُم. This is very dangerous, of a reminder to myself and to you. That means when we listen to the admonitions from Allah and from His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whatever medium that is used to communicate those to us, beware not to allow our hearts to be distracted. The qulub, a sign of a mu'min is when his or her qalb is listening to admonition, not only looking at you or listening to you, but listening without hearing, looking without seeing. Says Allah Azza wa Jal, لاهية قلوبهم. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect us from that attitude. Second, in the middle, after reminding us of the hour and those who are neglectful of the hour of the day of resurrection, and they live their lives in heedlessness towards the hour, and then when it comes upon them, then their reaction is very, very different. And then after that, Allah tells us of some of the instance in the lives of His prophets and messengers, alayhim salam. And what I want to emphasize here, all of those whom He mentioned in this context: Ibrahim alayhi salam, Lot alayhi salam, Nuh alayhi salam, what was that? Dawood alayhi salam, Sulaiman alayhi salam, Ayyub alayhi salam, إسماعيل إدريس ذو الكفل عليهم السلام ذو النون يونس عليه السلام زكريا يحيى مريم عليهم السلام عيسى عليهم السلام. All of these, when he mentions, he mentions them to us most importantly in which context? What is so remarkable in this part of rehearsing incidents of their lives? What is it? What's keep recurring? What keeps recurring? All of that is true. What keeps recurring? Dua. Dua. Dua, prayer. To be prayerful. All of them, he's telling us. These are the most elect of Allah's creation, and yet dua, prayer, invocation, solicitation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ فَنَجَّيْنَاهُ آلَهُ مِنَ الْكَرْبِ الْعَظِيمِ. And so on. فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ فَكَشَفْنَا مَا بِهِ مِنْ ضُرٍّ فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْغَمِّ وَكَذَلِكَ نُنْجِي الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And so on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala draws our attention to the power of dua. And not only to the power of dua, but dua being a very beautiful spiritual means of expressing our ubudiyyah to Allah Azza wa Jal and our need for Allah Azza wa Jal. Not only a means for power and hawl and quwwah. Dua is the hawl and quwwah that we obtain from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thus the importance of dua, my dear sisters and brothers. And then at the end, subhanahu wa ta'ala, he reminds us again that the world, time and space will be folded. كَطَيِّ السِّجِلِّ لِلْكُتُبِ will be folded again. The dimensions of all space and time will be folded again. And on that day, woe unto those of us who have chosen voluntarily and deliberately to ignore these glad tidings, these good news and these warnings. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اجعل خير أيامنا وأسعدها يوم نلقاك. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما وافتح مسامع قلوبنا لذكرك وأمرك ونهيك يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. قوموا إلى الصلاة.